Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. Today's Daf Hayomi is Nazir Chav Ches. We begin actually 3 lines from the top, which is really in the middle of a brisa. Let's just recap briefly. We have a question. A fellow must bring a chatas for a sin that he violated. He ate chelev, he ate a dam, which necessitates a carbon chatas. Can he bring his father's carbon chatas? The father had committed something, set aside a carbon, passed away, or his father's chatas money which he set aside towards purchasing a carbon chatas. The answer to both questions is no. And we discussed this yesterday in the beginning of the brisa. We learned this from multiple mentionings of the word karbonai. Karbonai indicates it needs to be personal. It needs to be your chatas, whether your chatas behema, whether the monies going to be used for your chatas have to be your monies set aside by you, as opposed to father's unused chatas fund. So that was the beginning of the brisa. Now the brisa will proceed with 2 more suggestions. So we started with suggesting that he uses his father's chatas behema. No, his father's ma'is, money set aside for his father's chatas. No, he can't. The son cannot use that as well. Continues the Gemara on the 3rd line from the top. What about one's own personal money set aside for a different avera, for a different chatas? Can he transfer it to this chatas? Can he rename it? Can he convert it to be used for a different chatas? That's going to be the next question. Yochel lo yetzi b'mois shehifresh aviv. Perhaps we understand it. One may not use. He can't tap into his chatas fund. Even if he's trying to use it for the same type of avera, the more lenient type of avera. So his father saved up money for a chatas to be brought to address a lower level avera. What's a lower level avera? So the Farshim explained yesterday, an avera which receives retribution from Shamayim, is punished by heaven. Misa b'dei Shamayim, kares. That's considered relatively lighter to an avera like eating chelev and dam, which can trigger an olam hazeh, a bezdin response that has a chumrah, because it's addressed immediately. In this world, we have the ability and we have the obligation to address it here in this world. So that's called chamura. It's relatively, higher. It's on a higher level, so to speak. So sure, you can't use your father's money designated for one purpose, for one chatas. Afilu bin akala ala kala, even if he's trying to divert it to another, his own son's own personal chatas of the same ilk, the same level. They're both low-level chatos. You can't do that. Or min chamura ala chamura, or going from his father's higher level chatas to his own personal high level chatas. You can't do that because it's father's money. It's not personal. It's not yours. Aval. What about one's own personal chatas fund meant for one chatas? Can that be switched over to another chatas? Aval yaitze b'karban sheifresh la'atzmei. What about, before we get to your own money, your own chatas? Then we're going to get to money soon. So a person, Reuven, was mafresh a chatas behema for chet aleph. Can he go ahead and switch it to another chet? There's a girsa afilu. Even if it means switching, types of averas from a lighter to a more stringent, from more stringent to a lighter. Bottom line is, can one switch? Can one reuse? Can he redirect a carbon from one purpose to the other? Talmud Leimar. No. Pasuk says karbonai al chatasai. We learn from here, a carbon, it gets a label. It's meant for this chet. Achi karbonai lishum chetai. Lishum chatasai. If it's meant for avera 1, it cannot be diverted to avera 2. So that's pertaining to behemoths. Next question. What about monies? Perhaps I can understand it. You can't redirect the behema, which was earmarked for one purpose, to another purpose, even if it's, they're both on the same level. Whether it's the same level or both averos on different levels. You can't do that. We understand why. You know why? It's already committed. It's already a behema with kedushas haguf, which cannot be converted into something else. Just like we find elsewhere. Shekain, just like im hifresh behema lachelev. Reuven was mafresh chatos behema upon eating chelev, and then he ate dam as well, which necessitates its own chatos. And he decided to bring that first behema for this, vehevi al dam, or the other way around. Starting point was dam. They wanted to switch the behema for chelev. Oyal adam, he was mafresh a carbon for dam, vehevi al chelev, and decided to bring it on account of eating chelev. It does not work. Sharei lo yimu'al. This fellow, despite the fact that he's misusing the behema, they were makrovit for a wrong purpose. It was meant for this, and they did the hakrova for the other thing. There was no me'ilah committed. Typically, me'ilah applies when you misuse, when you take for personal benefit anything belonging to hekdesh. Here, he didn't actually do that. He took a behema which has kedushas haguf, it's inherently kaddish, and decided to redirect it, to relabel it as serving the other avera, addressing the other chet. There was no me'ilah committed, because it doesn't really, affect. It doesn't change the ownership of it. Behema is still hagdish. Me'ilah entails taking something that belongs to a hegdish and turning it into a non-hegdish entity, taking it for personal use. That would happen, typically by money, something which is kedushas mamon, financial, monetarily kaddish. If you misuse it, the halacha is that item loses its kedusha. It's like it becomes yours to your detriment. It's called me'ilah. Here, that doesn't happen because a behema is inherently kaddish. You can't just terminate its kedusha. You can't remove its kedusha. There was no me'ilah done in this case. And therefore, he did not achieve kapara by this diversion. You can't switch it from chelev to dam. And according to one pshat, like kippur means the purpose for which he brought the carbon today does not get kapara. That avera is not addressed. This remains, the original, whatever it was meant for originally. Bottom line is, there was no real, effect on the behema, and therefore, he does not really achieve his objective. That's because it's a behema, which has kedushas hakuf, and can't so easily be converted into something else. Suppose, back to our story. A fellow was mafresh mois. He has a bank account meant for chatos, A. Decides to use it for chatos B. Perhaps you can do that. It's just money. Money can easily be converted and switched. Min hakala ala lakala, whether he's taking it from one avera kala to another avera kala, or min chamura chamura, or chamura to chamura, or mix and match min chamura to the lokala, min hakala lachamura. Perhaps switching can work. Perhaps you shouldn't do it. I'm not recommending, but perhaps if he does it, he is yaitse. Just like shekain im hifresh la'atzmei mois min hachelev. Just like a case where a person was mafresh money for chatos chelev, for one avera, and by mistake vehevi aladam, he brought it for the, he bought a behema, and he brought it for chatos dam. Or aladam was meant for dam, maybe alachelev, and he used it to purchase an animal for the avera of eating chelev. Sharei in this case, he did commit me'ilah. Right? When a person diverts a hegdish, possession to something which it wasn't meant to be used for, he has committed me'ilah. If he does it b'shegeg, he's chayv a korban me'ilah, etc. So here it's different than the behemoths, which aren't easily switched around, because it has kedushas haguf. Money is rather easily diverted, converted, and transferred, and switched. So he committed me'ilah, v'chipar, and that's why, indeed, he achieves kapara on the new objective, on the new, thing that he has in mind, because it's like it's like his money. Once he does me'ilah, unfortunately, he's free to do with it what he wants. It's his, and the fact that he bought a korban for the new chet achieves kapara on the new chet. So back to our story, our brisa, where he's been made at trying to switch it around. He has money for one korban, chatas, trying to use it for another korban, chatas. Perhaps it works. Tamalema, that's where we have the words al chatasai. And it's a different mentioning of the word al chatasai. It's a new pasuk. Aside from the pasuk mentioned before, there's a new mentioning of the word al chatasai to teach you that even in this type of situation, even concerning monies which are easily transferred and converted, it only works if it was earmarked for this chet, as opposed to having already been committed for a different chet. It cannot be used for this chet. End of brisa. So let's just recap the brisa briefly. We have 4 levels dealing with the same question: can I transfer? Can I redirect from one chet to the other? Whether it's father's behema, whether it's father's money. Money is perhaps easier than behema. The brisa made a point of mentioning, we do find elsewhere father's monies can be tapped into by his son. You know where? By Nazirus. Father has monies set aside for his korbanos Nazirus. Son can sometimes pick up that money, tap into that fund for his own personal korbanos. Suppose the money is sussum, was not yet individualized, not yet labeled as per what's the oila or the shlamim and the chatas. Right? So perhaps monies can be transferred easily. No, when it comes to chatas, you can't take your father's chatas money and use it for your own chatas in a Nazir setting. Right? So that was the second point. The third point was, this is what we started with today, even one's own personal korban already committed for one avera cannot be used for the other avera. Likewise, money is used for avera A, cannot be diverted to avera B. Okay, point well made. All based on psukim, korbanai, al chatasai. How does this pertain to our sugya in Nazir? So we're going to harp on that side point, so to speak, that the brisa highlighted for us in terms of a Nazir. A father's Nazir funds can be tapped into by his son, provided the money is sussum, not yet labeled, not yet earmarked, as per what's for the chatas, oil, and shlamim. That only applies to mois sutumin, not to father's behemoths. Apparently, katani, yes. At any rate, what did we learn? Behema is different than mois. A father's behema cannot be. A father's, Nazir behema cannot be used by his son. It's different than money. Perhaps even a behema with a mum. Now this flies in the face of yesterday's established rule that if father's animals are blemished and at any rate slated for sale and it's meant to be converted into monies used to buy new korbanos, we treat the animal as though it's a fluid entity, as though it's just it's there for its value. We treat it as money, as a fund. And here the brisa seems to differentiate between an actual fund, a money fund, and animals, even their bali mumen. That's inconsistent with our chiddush. My love, afilu balas mum. Perhaps even a behemoth with a mum is treated like a regular behemoth. It cannot be diverted to the sun. Loi tamima. No. It's specific. To a behemoth with adamum. That's treated differently. That's like mufureshes, as we discussed yesterday. Aval balas mum, my kustuma damya. But what do you mean to suggest that if it would have a mum, we treat it like mois sutumin? undefined, Nazir fund which can be transferred to the son? If that's the case, my area diktani ma'is shehifresh aviv. Why does the Brisa specify that this concept of allowing father's Nazir fund to be diverted and transferred to the son only applies to ma'is setumen? Ma'is shehifresh aviv, monies. Listen, Balasmum should have given us a greater chiddush. Even animals which are balimum and have the same halacha. Hachinami. That's exactly what the Brisa means. L'lamai chasi, let's may. Ultimately, what are you going to do with a behema balasmum? It's good for its value, for its money. I know mois. Well, that's exactly what the Brisa means when it says mois. It can either mean actual currency or merchandise slated to be turned into currency. So we fall away from that kash. That seems to be the conclusion, that in fact behemoth's balimumin can be considered like any other Nazir fund, mois setumin, which have its alachis. So in the case where it's totally unused, it goes l'nadava. In the case where we have a son who is a Nazir with this in mind, then he can tap into this money. Okay, says the Mishnah, what about an Isha? Became a Nazir. Husband steps in and does hafara. That cancels it, right? No more Nazir. Until what point? What's the cutoff point past which a husband can no longer interfere? Now let's just go back a second. Let's step back. What's the point? What's the justification of a husband's hafara? Answer is b'nai lebina or inui nefesh. There are things that bother him. He doesn't want her to be deprived of wine, which seems to have been a real staple element in those days. Inui nefesh, deprivation, allows him. Torah allows him. Step in and cancel it. Until what point? So nizrik aleh echad ben adamim eino yachal hafer. Tanakama holds, once they brought one of the karbanis, one of the three karbanis that a Nazir, or in this case a Nazir, will bring at the end of their Nazir's term, it can be the chatas, the oila, the shlamim, so even one of them, if it's post-zerika, the halacha is, according to Tanakama at least, we're going to see a shita chelekes in the Gemara of Lezer, according to Tanakama in our Mishnah, once you get to that point, you are free to drink wine to become tamil mason. So there's no more inei nefesh, no more justification for husband's interference. Now you'll ask, what about the haircut that she has to still shave? Well, the Gemara addresses that. She can use a wig, and it shouldn't really bother him too much. Rabbi Kiva Eimer, no, he disagrees. Even before Zrika, the show's over, even before Zrika Sadam, even before they apply the Dam on the Mizbeach, which is the trigger for the heter of Shtiyas Yain, even after Shchita, the Gemara will tell us we're speaking about a Chatos, which was done first. And once you do Shchita on that, there's no Eitzah, there's no solution. It becomes possible if left, to its own devices. So on account of Hefset Kachim, want to avoid ruining this carbon, Rekiva says, leave her alone. Don't get involved. Let her proceed, finish the whole process, which keeps the karbanos kosher. So Tanakama seems to hold that even though she's about to, after Shchita, it's just minutes till the Zrika, and that's it, she's mutar b'yayin. Even that short period of eating nefesh justifies afara. Rekiva says, no, once you're at the point of Shchita, don't interfere, even though there are a couple of minutes of eating nefesh. Have said kachim. Our obligation to safeguard, to ensure the kashrus of the carbon is paramount. That overrides, the short-lived inu nefesh from now till Israel. So no more hafara. But when do we give this cutoff point? But your typical end of Nazir term ceremony. She's done her Nazirus, she's about to go home, she brings the karbanis. So we have this discussion. To what point can you do the hafara? Shchita or Zrika? Because it's almost over. But in the case where a Nazir became Tameh, what happens then? She has to bring 3 karbanis, right? The asham, the chatas, and the olam. Shave, start all over again. In that case, we say, even if you're after Zrika of these karbanis tuma, the Yafer husband can do hafara, because in this case, everybody, even Rekiva agrees, we're dealing with a long road ahead. My husband can rightfully claim, I can't handle an issue who's depriving her, so I can't live with that. So you could do the afara. Rabbi Meir Omer, here comes another chiddush. He says, af b'tiglachas atar, even with your standard tiglachas. She's about to go home. She's done her 30 days. She brought her karbanis. They did the zrika. She's mutar b'yayin, mutar b'mason. Yafer. Husband can walk right in there and cancel the whole deal. You know why? He doesn't want her to shave. It's uncomfortable for him. It's not something he wants. Shu yachalemer, he can say, I don't want my wife with a shaven head. Okay, so we have two categories. Tiglachas HaTahara, at which cutoff point is either Shchita, according to Rabbi Kiva, because of the Hefsed Kachim, or Zerika, according to Tanakama, at which point she's Mutar B'yayin, no reason for Hafara. Rabbi Meir says even after Zerika, pre-Tiglachas, step in there and cancel it. I don't want Tiglachas. Says the Gemara, Masnisin, our Mishnah, meaning our Tanakama. After Zrika, there's no more Hafara. Because she's already Mutar B'yayin, Mutar L'tam L'meisen. There's no reason for Hafara. They look at Rabbi Lezer, is not working with Rabbi Lezer. The Rabbi Lezer, according to Rabbi Lezer, or Amat Tiglachas Ma'akeves, he says, you need to do Zrika and Tiglachas to be Matar B'yayin, Matar B'tumas Meis. And therefore, in this case, she's still pre-haircut. V'kivan de legilcha, asira b'chamer. She still must refrain from wine. V'kivan de isla nivel, which generates this deprivation, which is called nivel. Matzi mefer allows the husband to afara, who pligi. And this apparently is the point of a contention between Tanakama Savar, our Tanakama holds, kivan de izdarak aleh dam. Once the zrika happens on her behalf, la alter shari b'chamer, that opens the door to the wine drinking. V'oles lo nivel, which removes the nivel factor, and therefore husband cannot do afara. Rakiva savar afilish tachitas behema. Rakiva holds. Sorry, we'll get to Rakiva. But Rabbi Lezer holds. No, not yet. Zrika's dam does not provide heter for drinking wine or for becoming tamil ames. It's the teglachas that does it, and if it's still pre-teglachas, husband has a full right to cancel the deal. Okay, so we explained machlekes Tanakama. Zrika is the cutoff point. Rabbi Lezer holds Tiglachas is. Next point in the Mishnah, Rabbi Kiva. He says Shchita is the cutoff point. Rabbi Kiva savar afilu shtachitas behem. Even if there's Shchita, you're over. Ein yochel offer no more afara. Why? Mishum hefsed kach. Look, you have a carbon here. Nishchat. What are you going to do with it? You're going to take away the Naziris. You're going to ruin the carbon. And that factor is overriding. Maskefel Rabbi Zera. What's the issue? I have an easy solution. V'amai. Why is it hefsed kachim? Lizrek dam shlo lishman. True, the shchita was done for the sake of the isha, who at that point was a nazir. Okay. You know what you do with the carbon? Well, we have no nazir anymore, right? Husband took away the nazirs. Take the dam, take the blood, sprinkle on the mizbeach. Shloi lishman. Without having nazir in mind. Taisa says, do it stam, unspecified. And since there's no nazir here to speak up, so automatically, it's called shloi lishman. It's not being brought for the sake and purpose that it was originally meant for. Okay, so it's not really going to be a carbon for Nazir anymore. And that accomplishes at least that the flesh of the behemoth can be eaten. It's still kosher. Miloi Tanya, as we find in a different brayse regarding kivsiyat seres. 2 sheep brought on shvuos, sheshachtan shloi lishman, they were done without the right intention. Or sheshachtan fnei zmano, they were brought before Yom Tiv, or lachas zmano after Yom Tiv. So what do you do with it? Burn it? No. Hadam yizorik. You take the dam, apply it to the mizbeach, not for the sake of the kivsiyat seres, just generically. So it's just a carbon. That's all. V'abasa yachal, you eat the basa. Moisa Shabbos. If it's Shabbos, not meant to do this process unnecessarily. Midrabanan, it's like you don't separate the trum and the master. So lo yizrik, don't do the zrika. But v'im zarak, if you did it on Shabbos, hurtza, the carbon is kosher, it's accepted, lahaktir and more in the Arab, which allows you on Shabbos to bring the fats, etc. And the carbon is kosher here as well. Fine, it's after shchita. You have a carbon here, meant for a nazir, and you have no nazir. Big deal. So divert it. Use it as a nondescript carbon, an undesignated carbon, which still could be kosher. There's no hefsed. Amri, the answer is like this. True. Either shachat oila ishlamim. If we're speaking that he did the shchita on the oila or the shlam chanami, of course, if it's shalei l'shma tzil kasher, that's a good solution. So that shouldn't stop the husband from doing hafara. Rather, Allah Ma'askin was speaking about the chatas. Chatas shaloi l'shma is basal. Kigan shachat chatas bereisha. She was meant to bring 3 karbanis. Chatas oila and shlamim. And she happened to bring the chatas first. That's the case, because it's not as we find in the Mishnah elsewhere, that chatas can be brought first. Im gilach alachas mishlashtan yatzaf. The Nazir, brings 3 karbanis, and he brought the chatas first. Any one of the 3 can be brought first. And that was brought, and the zrika happened, and he, decided to let go of the Nazirus at that point. It's okay, easy, I'd say. So, a giluach on any of the 3 karbanis works. That's what happened. Perhaps she brought the chatas first. That's the case that Rabbi Kiva is referring to. And therefore he says, you know what? After shchita, you're going to ruin the carbon. Don't get involved. Don't do the afara because of hefsed kach. So we have several shitas regarding the deadline, the cutoff point of afara regarding a wife's neder. Again, we're speaking about the routine Nazirus track, Teglachas Tahara. So she kept her 30 days. Next day she brings the karbanis, chatas eila and shlamim, which are mater b'yayin, tumas meis, and she has the teglachas as well. At what point do we say husband no longer can interfere? We have Tanakama who says zrika. She's already mutter b'yayin, leave her alone. Rav Leila says no. She's not mutter until giluach. So until then he can still interfere. Rav Kiva says if there was a chatos brought first, once it's nishchat, leave it alone. And Rameir says, until you get that haircut, husband can put up the stop sign, I don't want an isha megulachas. But teglachas tahara. But teglachas tuma. Yeah, but of course, when it comes to an unconventional process, teglachas tuma, if the Nazira became tameh and she's going to have to bring karbanis and start all over again, yafer, he can still do the afar at this late point in the game. He doesn't want her to deprive herself again. Okay, that's a side point. Back to our conventional situation. Or meir oima afilu b'teglachas tahara yafer. Even by teglachas tahara, after the karbonis, he can still step in and cancel. I don't want her to shave her hair. But Tanakama Amalach, how does Tanakama address this husband's concern? He doesn't want isha megulachas. Answer is, there's a way out. A sheitel. Get her a nice sheitel. Efsha a peah nachris. A wig called peah nachris because it typically would contain another woman's hair. Okay, so that's a temporary measure to cover the area. That shouldn't be a concern. Rabbi Meir Savar, Rabbi Meir disagrees. He says the husband still has the right to be concerned. The peah nachris, aida de zuama, because of its uncleanliness. Seems like in those days a negative association with the concept of peah nachris. He doesn't want it to be walking around with somebody else's hair. It's not something which he's comfortable with. And that justifies hafar. Okay, continues the Mishnah. Ha'ish madir as b'noi b'nazir. Here comes an interesting halacha. A father can actually impose nazirus upon his young son, provided he's below age, he's below bar mitzvah. As we're going to see in the Gemara, he can make him a nazir. But this is strictly father. As opposed to a mother, she cannot do that to her own son. Now, this only works provided nobody waged a protest, whether by way of words or by way of actions. Ketzad, how do we oppose this system? Meaning, father decided, okay, my son is going to be a nazir, but gilach, the son went to the local barber, removed his hair. So he opposed his father's idea. Or even relatives of the child went ahead and decided to oppose this kid's father's actions. They cut his hair off. Micha, or he protested verbally, or his relatives did as such. Some say relatives means those that are pasul le'edus, close enough, who theoretically would be invalid in terms of offering testimony on behalf of this kid, so that's a certain level of closeness. And some Mefarshim learn any type of relative, even a distant relative, can sort of take on this kid's case and protect his, come up and vouch for his welfare and undo the father's Nazirus. Okay, we're going to discuss this at length in the Gemara. Now, suppose it was an unsuccessful attempt, right, on the part of the father. And, he tried to make his son a Nazir and separated and designated some behemoths, which would serve as future karbanis upon completion of that Nazirus. And it turns out the Nazirus, got cancelled by way of mecha. He's left with the animals. His father had some designated behemoths for karbanis, which were already, labeled. Hachatas tamas, so the chatas goes lemisa, as we know, an unused chatas is put to death. V'oila tikarev oila, the oila is brought as an oila. Well, you can bring an oila anytime as a donation. And likewise, ushlamim, the shlamim animal, yikrar v'ushlamim is brought as a shlamim, so it's considered a shlamim of a Nazir. Although we don't have a Nazir, it gets the halachas to a certain extent, the limitations of a shlamim of Nazir. Typically, a shlamim can be consumed within a two-day period, but this one has a limited zman achila v'nechadan liyam echad, eaten within a day of the hakrov ve'enan tunan lechem, and no bread come along with it. We have no Nazir involved. The pasuk says v'nasan al kape hanazir, needs his hands, needs to be a hands-on experience. There's no Nazir, no bread. This is all because he already labeled those animals. But let's say he had, an unlabeled fund. Father set aside a Nazir fund for future karbanis of his son's Nazirus. Turns out the Nazirus did not work out, and he's left with this Nazir fund. But the fund was not yet designated. It wasn't individualized. It wasn't labeled. It was a sort of a generic fund to provide for all the karbanis. Now that it's unused, we all know Yiplu Nadava. He sends it to the Migdash, puts it to their Pushka, and to their Nadava fund, used to purchase karbanis oila to keep the Mizbeach active. What if the monies were already designated? This is the Chatas money, this is the oila money. Then we treat it accordingly. Rather than sending it to Nadava, each portion has its own designation. The Chatas money, which is now unused, Yelchul Yam Melech, he sent it to the Yam Melech, never to be heard of from again. You're not meant to have anah from it, but if he does have anah, he has not committed me'ilah, because ultimately it's not meant for karbanos, it's not kachi Hashem, and therefore there's no me'ilah penalty. As opposed to the dmei oila, the oila money, yavi oila is used to purchase an oila, umay alan behen, and of course, if one diverts that money, he committed me'ilah because it's destined for carbon. Likewise, dmei shlamim, the shlamim money, yavi shlamim is used to purchase a shlamim and echol niyam echad, eaten within a day, ve'en tunan lechem, without any bread. Okay, so that's the Mishnah, opening up a new discussion, how a father can impose Nazirus on his son. It's interesting, Shaila brought in the Poiskim. Halacha l'maisa, parents made a neder, they promised that this kid that they're having a hard time bearing a child, Hashem gives them this child healthily, they'll set him aside, they'll commit him for a lifetime of learning. Okay, that was the parents' sort of vow, their commitment. Does that obligate the child? That was the question. And the Sefer Shevet HaLevi, he writes, of course not. It's very nice for the child to be committed to Torah throughout his lifetime, but he's not bound to his parents' neder. This halacha is specific to Nazirus, as we're going to see. We saw in the Mishnah, we'll see it in the Gemara further. You can't just force the kid into a certain lifestyle, unless the child actually accepted it upon himself. Eventually, when he grew up and he decided to take on this sort of lifestyle, that's a whole different story. But in terms of parents imposing, it's a very specific, limited, halacha, a father regarding his son, only pertaining to Nazirus, as we're going to see in the Gemara. That's a big question posed by the Radak. How did Chana commit to Shmuel's Nazirus? Right? She says, Hashem, I'm going to commit him his whole lifetime, a lifetime of Kedusha, and he's going to be a Nazir. How could she do that? It's a mother. A mother cannot, Ein ha'isha maderes has b'na ben Nazir, asks the Radak. So he says, others explain, perhaps it's not something that pertains to our Mishnah, because you're right, she wasn't really obligating him to keep a certain lifestyle. Rather, she was committing to Hashem that she will prepare him accordingly. She'll raise him, she'll nurture him, she'll give him the training, she'll give him the environment, she'll facilitate a lifetime of Kedusha, a lifetime of Torah. And perhaps eventually Shmuel actually took it upon himself when he came of age and he was mature enough to actually realize and recognize and pursue this type of lifestyle. Interesting discussion. In any case, we learned today about Mois Setumim, right? Unused Nazir money which was not yet defined and designated, goes l'nadava. Even if we're speaking about animals which are Bali Mumin, designated to provide, to sponsor his karbanos, they're left unused. We treat them like Mois Setumim because animals with a mum, it's just like money. It's on its way to the market. It's treated like a fluid, a fund. Question: until what point can a husband do haforas nedarim and take away his wife's nazirus? According to Rabbi Kiva, once you do the shchita on the chatas, you don't want to get involved in ruining the korban. Stop the hafara process right there. Don't get involved. Don't interfere. Let it just play itself out. According to Tanakama, Zrikas Hadam, which is mata the shtiyas yain for the nazir, that's the cutoff point. Past that, don't get involved. Rabbi Lezer says until teglachas, you're not being mata the yain, so he has a right to get involved until the haircut. And Rameir likewise says until the haircut because of a different reason. He doesn't want a shaved wife. Regarding Nazir's Tumah, which requires a new restarting of the whole process, all agree you can do the Afara even at this late stage in the game. And we concluded with the halacha of a father being madar as b'nai b'nazir, only pertains to a father, not to a mother, and even a father, provided it goes through smoothly without any protest on account of the child or his relatives, whether by word or by deed. All the best to you, Hatzlach Rabba, and Psura Is Tavais.